Are you passionate about your career? Do you love what you do and who you serve? I bet the answer is yes because you're here watching videos about how to be a better boss in business. Imagine being in that position, whether you are today or not, where you're passionate about your field. You're dedicated to advancing what you do and the people you serve. Then one day, you begin to notice a predominance of colleagues heading down the wrong path. No, not only factually wrong decisions, but they're making morally or ethically wrong decisions. Everyone you respect and admire, who were once helping you achieve great results in your field, are now making horrible decisions. Yet they're convinced that they're right. They begin collaborating and supporting decisions that go against your very sense of right or wrong. In fact, in business, they seem to be helping the competition. Would you confront them? Would you stand up for what you believe? What if it meant risking your life? What if it meant risking the lives of those you love? Well, that's a question we'll reflect today with a great example of leadership for your own leadership development when we study the concept of being virtuous on Boss Beat, a latte of leadership for those seeking to be and build better bosses in business. I'm Ben, and yes, I do like my bees. So who's this wonderful example that I mentioned? His name was Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He was a Christian minister in Germany during World War II. He was concerned about the rising power of Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany long before the war ever began. You see, during a trip to the U.S. in 1930, Bonhoeffer was exposed to segregation. He saw firsthand the tragedy of unethical treatment of the people by government. Back in Germany, 2 days after Hitler was installed as chancellor, Bonhoeffer launched a radio broadcast in which he challenged Hitler. He challenged the church's thinking by even considering supporting a man who claimed to be the second coming of Christ. Now, his broadcast was cut off. To this day, nobody knows exactly how or why, but most likely for its messaging. As his power grew, though, Hitler demanded a new German church, placing him as the head of the church, that all churches must look to him for final decision-making authority. Bonhoeffer again opposed Hitler. Still, most of his colleagues in Germany joined what was then the Nazi Church. Bonhoeffer would be constantly reprimanded by superiors, threatened and begged to stop his arguments against Hitler. He tried to build international church support, and yet repeatedly was denied by churches across the world. So when that failed, Bonhoeffer sought support from other sources. In fact, he started seeking government support from UK and other nations. A pacifist Christian minister, frustrated by the German church's support of Nazism and a lack of international churches' willingness to intervene, Bonhoeffer began to seek other ways to help. So he became a spy. He joined what was known as Abwehr. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It was the German intelligence wing of the military, which actually had several members in it seeking to plot a secret overthrow of Hitler. For Bonhoeffer's role, he began smuggling documents out of Germany, examples of the tragedies and unethical treatment of human beings. Eventually, Bonhoeffer even began supporting assassination attempts, explaining that God would forgive them for assassinating a man who was so clearly evil and doing so many horrible things. Ultimately, though, Bonhoeffer was discovered, captured, and executed in the final 2 weeks before the fall of Germany. At this point, you may be thinking, Ben, how does this relate to being and building better bosses in business today, right? You may be thinking, I'm not facing genocide, Nazis, or even that level of hate in my workplace. My friends, that is all the more reason this relates to you. Our issues are tiny by comparison, but they remain unethical or immoral all the same. Minuscule by comparison, this is exactly why Dietrich Bonhoeffer's example relates to us today. Furthermore, Nazi Germany didn't begin with a Holocaust. It began small and grew and grew and grew. It began with one evil person believing he was the savior and demanding unquestionable support from his followers, from the nation. So, when it comes to being virtuous in the workplace, let's take a page from Dietrich's letters from prison. Stand up for your beliefs. Stand up to gossip in the lunchroom. Stand up to inhumane decisions by the insuring company. Stand up to workplace bullying or unethical account practices. Stand up to all kinds of mistreatment of those you serve with your leadership. Before he was executed, Dietrich expressed one big regret. He regretted not doing more sooner to challenge Hitler before his rise to power. We have these great many examples of martyrs for a reason, gang. We must learn to be virtuous all the time, including our little issues that we face daily, before they become bigger issues. Now, every time we cover a principle in Boss Beat here, we talk about some of the supporting attributes. Every one of these principles, like virtuousness, have many attributes beneath them. For virtuousness, we like to highlight these three. First, a clarity of purpose. Now, I happen to be a follower of Jesus Christ, so my faith forms a lot of the decisions I make in life. You may be Jewish, Muslim, atheist, or agnostic. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you have a clarity of purpose that is higher than your own self-calling. Second, character. It's important that we remember our actions speak louder than words. Do your actions reflect your character? And last, trust. Would you follow somebody who waffles? Would you follow somebody who changes directions or convictions every time the wind blows? Make sure you're not waffling. Otherwise, you'll find it hard to sustain the support of your best people. As we go forward today, let's not forget this great quote by Dietrich. He said, ask yourself these two questions. What is the vehicle of injustice that needs your leadership? And how will you drive a spoke into those wheels? Every day on Boss Beat, we do this most weekdays. We cover one of the 7 core principles of great leadership populating on your screen now. Selflessness, empathy, resolve, virtuousness, authenticity, nonpartisanship, and thoroughness. They are from the acronym model of servant leadership. Why do we use the acronym model of servant leadership? Because there are lots of great books out there on leadership, gang. You can read many of them, but most of them are based on one person's experience, what they think makes great leadership. The acronym model of servant leadership is based on 2 decades of studying hundreds of attributes by dozens of those great authors and expert practitioners, great leaders from history and modern day, so that you know the guidance you get here is both tried and true and applicable and practical advice for your workplace today. If you like this sort of information, please check out modernservantleader.com, where you'll find gobs of free resources, as well as courses I teach with a very similar theme, focused on practical and applicable content that you can use and put to work today in your role in being and building better bosses in business. I'm Ben Lichtenwallner. Until next time, my friends, please keep serving.